भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste my dear friends. In this video I am going to explain and describe the solution of mysteries of Panchbhutas and Trigunas as explained and revealed by Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in his various discourses. Now Baba addresses the students and starts, students, embodiments of divine love. Everything in the cosmos is Brahman. The divine shines in the rays of the sun. It is the divine that reveals to man through his eyes the vastness and glory of the world. The whiteness and coolness of the moon, which confer peace on man, are derived from the divine. The universe, which is based on the triple nature of time and which is sustained by the Trinity Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, is permeated by the divine in the form of three gunas: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. This was the meaning of the Sanskrit shloka with which Bhagwan began his discourse. Nature presents a marvelous picture. No one can fully comprehend it, whether it is blessing or bereavement, joy or sorrow, gain or loss. It comes from Prakriti, nature. Nature presides over the destinies of all creatures. This nature comprises the three gunas. The Trinity represents the three gunas. The three qualities account also for the processes of creation, sustenance and dissolution, Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. All the varied experiences in the world arise from the three gunas. Man should aspire not for a dirgha, long life, but for a divya, divine life. In the cosmos, which is permeated by the divine, man should seek primarily to divinize his life. Seek the nature of the Creator. The secret of creation is known only to the Creator. Others cannot hope to understand it. Scientists are engaged in exploring the secrets of creation, but none can plumb the depths of nature's mystery. In scientific investigations, today's discovery is overtaken by tomorrow's findings. That again gets outdated in its turn. Continued change is in the very nature of creation. It is not permanent or immutable. The Creator is the only eternal, unchanging entity. The spiritual path aims at seeking the nature of the Creator and thereby understanding the nature of creation. The entire cosmos, consisting of living and inanimate objects, is based upon the three gunas. Man should strive to understand the principle that transcends the three gunas. God is Atma, Spirit incarnate. When terms like Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, Atma, or God are used, they all refer only to one entity. At the beginning, the Panchbhutas, the five elements, space, air, fire, water, and earth, emerged from the Atma. The five elements contain five characteristics. From the five elements began the Panchikritam process of fusion. Out of this fusion came the three gunas. The cosmos is the visible form of the three gunas, the elements and the gunas. The cosmos is permeated by the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. The nature of the sattva guna has to be properly understood. The antakarna, the inner instrument in man, represents the sattvic quality found in the five elements. Akasa, space or ether, has preeminence among the elements in representing the sattvic quality. From Akasa emerged what is known as Suddha Sattva, pure Sattva. This accounts for the human form. Akasa accounts also for the emergence of the organ of hearing, the ear. The second element is air. The skin is the product of the principle represented by Vayu, air. The eye is the organ representing the principle of the Agni, fire element. The individualized aspect of the fourth element, water, is the tongue. The nose represents the individualized aspect of the fifth element, the Prithvi, earth. These five elements account for the five faculties of Shabda, sound, Sparsha, touch, Rupa, sight, Rasa, taste, and Gandha, smell. As each of these faculties has emanated from one particular element, the five faculties are distinct in every individual. Akasa, space, is represented by sound, and the corresponding sense organ is the ear. The ear can only hear and not perform any other function. Likewise, the skin can only experience the sense of spursh, touch, associated with Vayu, air. The eye, which is the organ associated with Agni, can only see and do nothing else. The tongue, representing the element water, can only taste. The nose can only smell but cannot taste. Role of Antahkarna. While each of the sense organs is limited functionally to its specific role, the Antahkarna, inner instrument, combines the functions of all the five organs. This alone has the capacity to experience all the perceptions of the five Gyanendriyas, five senses. Are these sense organs functioning externally or internally? The answer is that they perform a dual role, both internal and external. If the physical organ, the ear, is present, but if the faculty of hearing is absent, the ear serves no purpose. If the faculty of the hearing Gyanendriya is present, but there is no ear to receive sounds from the outside world, the faculty is of no use. The combined operation of the Gyanendriyas, the sense organs concerned with the inner faculties of the senses, and the Karmendriyas, the organs of action, account for the human personality. Here you have a loudspeaker. Without a mic, the loudspeaker is of no use. Without a loudspeaker, the mic serves no purpose. It is the presence of both which enables what is spoken inside to be broadcast outside. The five faculties of the senses, sound, touch, sight, taste and smell, are the sattvic expressions of the five elements. The five elements in their Rajoguna give rise to prana, the life force, while the combined operation of the five elements in their sattvic quality is seen in the Antahakarna, the inner instrument in man. The collective functioning of the five elements in their rajas quality express itself as the prana, life force. Among the five elements in their individual expression of their rasic quality, akasa, space, is represented by vak, the faculty of speech. Vayu, air, finds expression in the hand. Agni, fire, finds expression in its individualized Rajoguna as the foot. The fourth and fifth element, water and earth, find rasic expression in the excretal organs in the body. You must take note of some significant facts in this posture of the elements. In its sattvic aspect, akasa, space, expresses itself as ear, but the same akasa in its rasic aspect appears as the vak. It may be inferred from this that akasa has two children, the ear representing sattva and the vak representing rajas. The ear, which is akasa's first child, receives the sounds coming from outside. The second child, the vak, responds from inside through the spoken word. Receive the sattvic and rasic and reject the rasic. The skin is the first child of Vayu, air in its sattvic aspect. The second child in its rasic aspect is the hand. The skin recognizes an ant crawling on the body. Immediately the hand tries to remove it. It will be seen from these examples that the sattvic quality consists in receiving impressions from outside. The Rajasic quality consists in casting them out. In the world today, what is happening is the exact opposite. What is Rasic is being taken in and what is Sattvic is being rejected. In the natural scheme of creation, what should be received is that which is Sattvic, and what should be rejected is all that is Rajasic. The primary quality of Prakriti, nature, is Sattva. Prakriti is called Stri, made up of three syllables Sa, Ta and Ra. The significance of this term is, first of all, Sa implies that you have to take in what is Sattva. Secondly, Ta implies developing some tamoguna qualities like submission, humility and modesty. Ra representing the Rajoguna implies that there are occasions in life when some harsh, firm resolutions will have to be taken. The Rajasic quality comes last, and it means that Rajasic actions have to be done as a last resort when they are unavoidable. In the cosmic process, it is the Sattvic quality, the Sakara, that comes first. Hence, it is the duty of every man to develop the Sattvic quality in every respect, in thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Panchikaranam of the elements. The Tamoguna brings about a mixture of the five elements. In this mixture, the five elements are not present in their full strength. The five are fused together, Panchikritam, in a manner which may be illustrated by the following examples for purposes of easy understanding of a highly complex process. Suppose the five elements come together as five individuals, each having 1 rupee worth of change. Akasa retains half a rupee and distributes among the other four elements 1/8 of a rupee each. The second element, Vayu, air, also does likewise, retaining half a rupee for itself. Agni, fire, water and Prithvi, the earth, follow the same procedure. In the result, each has 1 rupee, but its composition is affected by the exchanges among the elements of parts of their respective natures. Originally, each element was whole by itself. The process of mixing has resulted in the presence of all the five elements in every rupee. In relation to the human being, the process of Panchikirta makes man a mixture of the five elements and produces diversity in qualities. These have been described in spiritual parlance as Shodasha Kalas, the 16 aspects. What are these 16 aspects? They are the 5 Gyanendriyas, organs of perception, 5 Karmendriyas, organs of action, the 5 elements, and the mind. Every individual has 316 constituents. Although the 16 kalas are attributed only to the divine, man has to realize his divinity. The devotee and goddess Lakshmi. The ways of the divine are not easily comprehended. Wishing the welfare of everyone in the universe, the divine uses a myriad method. It may be illustrated by the story of a devotee aspiring for riches who performed a severe penance for getting a boon from the goddess of wealth, Lakshmi. Man is prepared to undergo any ordeal for achieving material wealth but will not take any trouble to realize the divine. Lakshmi appeared before the devotee and asked him what he wanted. He replied that he wanted Lakshmi herself. She agreed and said that adorning herself with all ornaments, she would follow him and asked him to go ahead. She said she would come to his house and hand over all her ornaments to him. She imposed, however, one condition. You must go ahead and never look back. If you look back, I will stay at that stop and will not move further. Filled with joy, the devotee strode ahead towards his home. The goddess's jewels were making all kinds of sounds as she walked behind. Unable to restrain his curiosity to find out what all jewels she was wearing, he turned back to have a look at her. He could not restrain his curiosity till he reached his home. The moment he looked back, Lakshmi stopped there and did not follow him. This is what happens when one cannot restrain one's desires. Even though he got the grace of the divine, the devotee could not benefit from it. This means that even if you are blessed with an abundance of divine grace, you must acquire the capacity to benefit from it. To get this capacity, you have to obey implicitly the injunctions of the divine. If the devotee in the stove had adhered to Lakshmi's conditions, he would have benefited from her favors. Failing to abide by her conditions, he forfeited what he had been offered. Visible proof of the existence of God. The situation in the world is something similar to this. This world is permeated by the potency of three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Even our vision of the world is influenced by the three gunas. Examine your eye. The outer rim of the eye is red, representing the Rajoguna. After that, you have the white area representing Sattva. At the center is the black circle representing the Tamoguna. So, even our vision is tainted by the three colors red, white, and black. When you pose the question, where is God? The answer is given by nature itself. The revolution of the earth around itself at the speed of 1000 miles an hour accounts for the phenomenon of night and day. The earth's revolution round the sun at a speed of 66,000 miles an hour accounts for the various seasons for rainfall and cultivation of food crops. Thus, the divinely ordained motions of the earth enable living beings to get their food. This is a visible proof of the existence of God. The Veda declares that the foolish person, even while seeing the acts of God, declares he has not seen God. He does not realize that nature is the vesture of God. What is the lesson to be learned from the observance of nature? It is Kriyasilta, excellence in the performance of duty. It is because nature ceaselessly performs its duty that the world is able to derive so many sacred benefits. The secret and mystery of creation lies in the due performance of one's duty with earnestness and sincerity. In the pursuit of mirage of sensual happiness, men are going on the wrong path. This can be seen in the lifestyle of people going to work or carrying on business. After what they imagine is day of hard work, they go to clubs where they become slaves of drink and ultimately ruin themselves. Real happiness can be got only by tendering service to the public. Go to the help of the poor and the forlorn. You will derive strength as well as peace from such service. Your conscience also feel satisfied. It is a pity that neither the rich nor the administrators are inclined to do such service. Pure love can achieve anything. It is all the more essential that students should have some ideals before them and look forward to serving society selflessly. You should realize that you are a part of society and that your welfare is bound up with the good of society as a whole. Students, whatever sadhana you may do, your primary concern must be to develop the love of God. When you develop that pure love, you can achieve anything. In this context, the advice which Hanuman gave to Vibhishana when the latter lamented that though he had been chanting the name of Rama, he had not had the benefit of a vision of Rama is relevant. Hanuman told Vibhishana that it was not enough to chant the name. One should engage himself in the service of the divine. Hanuman declared that while meditating on the name of Rama, he was also engaged in constant service to the Lord. That was how he had earned Ram's grace and had become near and dear to him. I am ignorant of the scriptures, but I have dedicated my life to the service of Ram, declared Hanuman. If man is valued at his true worth and treated as a divine spark enclosed in the body, then he will rise to new heights of achievement and produce all the necessities of life in profusion. He will not grab or cheat. He will be a good worker, a pure person, and a sincere sadhaka. He will cultivate the inner vision and realize that he is not the body or senses or mind or even intellect. He will be full of prema and self confidence. At this point, I complete this video. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you.